So, again, your test is next Thursday. That means after you finish your 6-period final, you're more than welcome to come up here and start your exam early. You can start your exam early. You get 15 minutes in between classes. As far as the logistics go, 15 minutes on final exam days. There are 20 multiple choice, and there are 20 workout. The multiple choice is 100 points. The workout is 200 points. So it is a total of 300 points. It is a 300-point final. It is a 300-point final. The study guide is worth 100. The one that we're getting ready to work on. So essentially, don't do it. That's on you. But then you have no one else to blame. So we're going to go through each question. I'm going to give you hints and guidances along the way. I'm also going to tell you what section in your notes to look at. Now, if you don't have that notes packet, you can always go on Google Classroom. The notes are there. So let's start with problem 1. Problem 1, we're using the concepts from sections 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Very simple. You need to know how to distribute. You need to know how to combine like terms. And you need to know how to solve an equation. Basic equation, you solve it. Basic equation, you solve it. Again, this is for the final exam study guide. Those of you who are working on your homework, work on your homework because it's due in not 49 minutes, 1 hour and 4 minutes, 3:15. So problem 1, solve the equation. Find out what x is equal to. Problem 2, you are given an equation. You're being asked to find that value. So you need to solve the equation first. Solve the equation, figure out what x is equal to, and then plug it in to get your answer. Yes, go ahead. We can fix that. That's section 1.3. That's a section 1.3 situation. All right. Problem 3. Problem 3. Identify one solution and one non-solution of the linear inequality. One solution, one non-solution. So that means, this comes from section 1.5. Actually, take that back. That's 1.6. 1.6. So that inequality. Solve the inequality like you would an equation. Solve it like you would an equation. So you're going to have x is less than something. One solution means give me an answer. After you solve it, give me an answer that works. One non-solution means give me an answer that doesn't work. So if x was less than 8, for example, that means a solution that would work, x equals 6, because 6 is less than 8. A non-solution is a number that doesn't work. X equals 10. 10 is not less than 8. It's greater than 8. So that's an example of what it's asking you for. Yes? If you plug in answers, I'm going to mark it wrong. I want it solved algebraically. It's an algebra class. You're going to solve this first, and then you're going to give me the solution and the non-solution. It's an algebra class, and it's a final exam. You're proving that you know what you're doing. Bless you. Problem 4, also 1.6. Solve the inequality, then put the solution on a number line. So remember, your rules for number lines. You put your answer on the number line. If you have a less than or a greater than symbol, you put an open circle. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, closed circle. When you start shading, then less than or equal to, you shade to the left. Greater than or equal to, you shade to the right. You first got to solve the problem out so that you know what you're working with first. Problem 5. You're given a word problem. Of the 40 questions that are on there, 40% of those problems are word problems. So that means there are 16 word problems on that final. There are 16 word problems on that final. So, set up the equation. Since they're asking you how many hours was spent working on the car, make x equal to the number of hours. You set up the equation, and then you solve the equation. Set up the equation, solve the equation. I'm not going to do it for you, because you have to know how to do it for yourself. You're taking a final. So, any questions, any general questions before we move on? If there are specific questions, you got to wait to the end. If they're general questions, ask them before we move on. Again, don't try to rush to put everything on here. This will be uploaded to Google Classroom. All right. Going on to unit number 2. Unit 2, evaluate the function at each given value. The number inside, so this was section 2.1. The number inside the parentheses is the x value. So f of 3 means x equals 3. Plug in 3. So 3 to the third power plus 3 times 3 squared minus 5 times 3 plus 4. You solve it out, get the answer. Do the exact same thing for part B. Problem 7. Yes. That's correct. Follow order of operations. But not multiply, you use the exponent. 3 to the third power is 3 times 3 times 3. Those of you who are working on IXLs and missing work, guess what? 315, anything not done, late credit. No exceptions, no excuses. You didn't do your job. Time to pay the piper. So, find the slope. Finding the slope is a 2.2 situation. So you can do this one of two ways. Either A, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So label your points. Take care of it. Or B, slope is equal to rise over run. But that means you got to take those 2 points and put them on the graph first. Doesn't matter which one you do. I have no preference. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. Once you have the slope, you need the y-intercept. That's from section 2.4. We use y equals mx plus b. Plug in the slope, plug in the x, plug in the y, solve the equation for b. And then you write the equation using your slope and whatever your b value was. Graph the function on the coordinate plane. Guess what? You either use the equation and graph it, or if you plot those 2 points and draw a line through it, guess what? You graphed it. So that takes care of itself. That's section 2.3. Yes, go ahead. I just said that. I just said that. But yes, stop second guessing yourself. You're doing a lot of second guessing right now. No. You're highly intelligent. You kept an A this entire class. Stop second guessing yourself. Oh, well, lock in. Lock in. All right. Number 8, rewrite the linear function into slope-intercept form. That's a section 2.3 situation. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So that means you got to write that equation, y equals mx plus b format. You got to get y by itself. So we've done that. We've done that before. Section 2.3 is the notes you want to look at if you need a refresher for that. Problem 9. Problem 9, that's a section 2.3 problem. X-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, you set y equal to 0. Solve for x. To find the y-intercept, set x equal to 0. Solve for y. And that will get you your x-intercept and your y-intercept. So let's move it on. So problem 10. They're giving you an equation. They're giving you an equation. They're asking you, are the lines parallel or perpendicular or neither? So all of these are in y equals mx plus b format. So you can identify the slope. You can tell what the slopes are, but you need to know what parallel and perpendicular mean. Parallel, remember, is the slopes have to be the same. Perpendicular means opposite and reciprocal. Opposite, one positive, one negative. Reciprocal, take it, flip it over. One is the flipped over version of the other. So this is a section 2.2 situation for those of you who need to go back and review. Problem 11. Problem 11, 2.3 situation. Take that equation, put it back into y equals mx plus b format. Once you do that, put the y-intercept on the graph first, and then use the slope to plot more points. So that's a section 2.3 situation. Section 2.3 situation. Problem 12. You're given 2 points. This is a section 2.4, just like problem 13 is when we get there. That's a section 2.4 situation. You have 2 points. So find the slope. Find the slope. After you find the slope, use y equals mx plus b. Plug in the slope, plug in the x, plug in the y. Solve for b. And then write the final answer. Write the final answer after that. So step 1, step 2, step 3. Quick 3-step process. Section 2.4 of your notes if you struggling with that part. 13. So 13, word problem. Remember, 40% of your problems are word problems. Caterer charges $47 per person. That sounds like a rate of change, so that's a slope. They told you that the cost of catering represents y. Cost of catering, so that means that $25.90, that's a y value. At $50, that's an x value. So you have a y, a x, and a slope. You just need the m value. So quick two-step problem. Take your information. You know m, you know x, you know y. Find out what b is equal to. And then your equation is y equals whatever the slope is plus whatever the y-intercept is. And don't be surprised for that problem if they then ask you to do something with that equation. So read those directions very, very carefully. Very carefully. So, any questions before we continue? Again, if you miss anything, this will be posted to Google Classroom. That way you can look back at it, use it as much as you need to. Let's keep the train moving. Unit 3. For Unit 3, all about the systems. 2 equations, 3 equations. One solution means that the lines intersect. No solution means that the lines are parallel. Infinitely many solutions, you have one line on the graph. So for 14, I kind of just told you how to figure out 14. Not simple, not that difficult. 15. Solve that system using the graphing method. So do exactly what it said. Graph those 2 equations. Tell where they meet. Tell the points where they meet. 16 and 17. Solve using any algebraic method. So one of them, substitution. One of them, elimination. You need to know how to do both ways because both ways are going to be on the final and they're not going to tell you which way it is. You got to figure it out. So for these right here, I forgot to put the numbers. Let me do that real quick. This was a section 3.1 situation. 15 is a 3.1 situation. 3 in the last 2 problems were both 3.2s. Did IXLs on those back in the day. Word problems. Both of those are section 3.2 situations. For each word problem, set up the variables that go with each of the problems and then solve it out. For a final, there is no half points off for me setting up anything. I'm not setting up anything. It's a final. You're on your own. It's a final. So read the problem, start setting up the variables. If you read the problem, they're talking about elements A and B. So X is element A, Y is element B. Write the 2 equations. Problem 18, all they want you to do is set up the equations. That's it. That's it. 19, they want you to set up the equations and solve it. So they're talking about lemon and fudge, bless you. X is the lemon, Y is the fudge. Set up your 2 equations and then solve them out. Set up 2 equations and solve them out. Problem 20. Systems of linear inequalities. So that was section 2.8 and 3.3. So you have an overlapping colored section of this graph that was shaded twice. Identify a solution means give me 1 point that's inside of there. Identify a non-solution, give me 1 point that wouldn't work. 1 point that works, 1 point that doesn't. 1 point that works, 1 point that doesn't. Problem 21, 3 equations. That's a section 3.4 situation. That's a 3.4 situation. So the one that will be on there, because there's going to be a 3 variable one on there, should be pretty simple to solve out. Should be simple to solve out. So, quick reminder, 3:15 is when this homework packet is due. That's when all IXLs go into late status. I don't care what happens after that. If you go back and work on an IXL to get a higher score, the score I put in is the one that counts. Set it right on up there. Let's see. I'll take care of that. Don't worry about that part. All right. So let's keep going. For problem 21, that should be a x, comma, y, comma, z situation. Let's move on to unit 4, the unit that you just got, just finished taking the test on. Now, some of these problems will be changed / taken off entirely, so make sure you pay attention as we go along. Make sure we pay attention as we go along. All right, so problem 22. Rewrite that function into standard form. So standard form is already sitting up there. You need that equation into that format. So make sure it gets in that format. Once you get it into that format, tell me what the A value is, the B value is, and the C value is. So the new equation is going to be y equals something. Identify your A, B, and C. 23 and 24. You need this equation to answer 23 and 24. So, not too hard. Identify your A value, your B value, and your C value, and then plug them into the equation, plug them into the expression. Whatever answer you get from problem 23, you use it in problem 24. So 23, you're going to get x equals something. You're going to plug it in. So y equals 3 times whatever answer you got plus whatever answer you got minus 4. And then you solve it out. Then you solve it out. (25, 26, and 27). You're simplifying. So 25, that's your FOIL problem. Make sure you do FOIL correctly. And if you don't know FOIL, you better start asking questions about it. FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. That's a section 4.0 situation. All of it. 26, yes, there's a fraction in front. Last time I checked, parentheses goes before multiplication. So do FOIL first. So you're going to have 3 over 2 times some answer. Then you take 3 over 2 and you multiply it in. It ain't hard. It's just work. 27. You still follow order of operations. Parentheses, exponents. parentheses, exponents. Write the parentheses twice. Do the FOIL. Multiply -2 into the problem. And then add the 6 to it. Done. It's all about work. It's all about the work. So everything on that page is a 4.0 situation. Yep. If you don't distribute all the way, just go ahead and mark the problem wrong yourself. Save me the trouble. Any questions before we keep going? Because I think we're coming up to the start of the problems in which some modifications are about to start happening. All right, let's rock and roll. 28, simplify the square root. No decimals. So that means break down the square root. Part A, you shouldn't have any issues with. Part B and C, 96 and 125 are not perfect squares. So you find two numbers that multiply to them. One of them has to be a perfect square. A lot of y'all keep missing that. One of them has to be a perfect square. If I'm telling you one of them has to be a perfect square, then do it the way I'm telling you to do. One of them has to be a perfect square. Stop doing it the way you want to do it. After you find the two numbers, and take the square root. Keep solving it out. B and C are the same thing. 29. We learned 6 ways to factor. 6 of them. You just had a test on it too. Greatest common factor goes first before everything. Greatest common factor over everything. If there's 2 terms, then you use difference of 2 squares. So I can think of at least one problem up there that's going to get difference of 2 squares. 3 terms is MAF. So it's MAF if there's no number in front. It's MAF plus grouping if there is a number in front. So I'm looking dead at part D as that MAF plus grouping problem. Again, you're going to have to identify that because I won't tell you what method to use. There ain't no, can you take half points for this problem? No. Figure it out. Figure it out. 4 terms is grouping. 4 terms is grouping. So that takes care of that part. All right, so problems 30 and 31 can be crossed off. So 30 and 31 can be crossed off in its entirety. That is actually where we will start the second semester. That is where we will start the second semester. Don't smack y'all lips, some of y'all. You don't even know what it is yet. $32. Solve the equation for x. It's already factored, so don't multiply it out. I put that same direction on the test that you just took. Some of y'all still multiplied it out. If I was telling you don't multiply it out, don't multiply it out. I don't need you to trust that I actually know what I'm doing. It's already factored and it's equal to 0. Just separate the problem and solve it out. Separate the problem and solve it out. $33. Solve the equation by square roots. So that means you got to get x squared by itself then take the square root of both sides. Solving by square roots means plus or minus better be in your answer. Better be in your answer. Better be in your answer. 34. Solve the equation by factoring. So when you solve by factoring, number one, get the equation equal to 0. That's what a lot of y'all forgot on that test. You can't factor unless the equation is equal to 0. Step 2, factor. But factor by any means necessary. Step 3, set each factor equal to 0. Step 4, solve each equation. Solve each equation. So that's 35. Not 35, 34. I'll go back and put the section numbers in a second. 35 is going to get changed. 35 is going to get changed. You're going to solve another problem using square roots. You're going to solve another problem using square roots. I want to make sure you have practice with it. So here's the problem that you're going to be solving using square roots. So those of you who are taking a test, you better make sure that you go back and get these. Because guess what? If this problem's not done, I'm going to mark it wrong. I'm telling you what to do. The problem is very, very simple. Y squared equals 48. Solve it out. Solve it using square roots. 36. It says solve the equation below using any method. I'm going to tell you what method to use. That's factoring. That's the method you're going to use. Factoring. You're going to solve that by factoring it. You're going to solve it by factoring it. Last but most definitely not least, because we at the end of this, we're going to change 37. We're going to change 37. So here's the new problem 37. Here's the new problem 37, because I'm going to make it match exactly like one of the problems that's on that final. So here we go. Here's a rectangle. One of the sides is x plus 7. One of the sides was x plus 9. The area of the rectangle is 143. Find exactly. I know. Find the x value. Find the length. Find the width. And find the perimeter. There's your new problem 37. That's okay. Some folks are just going to stare at me and not write it down. Those people who are working on their homework, they going to forget, oh, I didn't know you changed 37. Okay. Play me if you want to. I'll mark it wrong anyway. There's a penalty for you trying to play me. There's a penalty for you trying to play me. Remember, some of y'all are not smarter than me. Not yet. Yeah, we give the same final. We give the exact same final. Now, trust me, you might not want to play that game. Because all you got to do is get caught once. That's grounds to get expelled from the school. If you know you're going to take the L, you might as well just sign up and retake the class. It ain't worth you getting expelled. Hurry up. So that completes the study guide that is required for you. So just a reminder, there are 40 questions on the final. 20 multiple choice, 20 workout. It's a 300-point final. This is the required portion. So on Thursday of next week, you will turn in the green study guide. It will be graded. It will be graded. Just like I grade your homework. It counts twice. It counts once in the second quarter. It counts once on the final. So if you don't turn it in or if you get a messed up looking grade, it's counting in two different places. You're double messing yourself up. Good luck. Yes, this will get posted to Google Classroom along with this video. Yep. So the sections that you need for this, let me go back. So all the way back to 25, 26, and 27 are all sections 4.0. 28 was section 4.5. That was the section that we did right before Thanksgiving break. Factoring was sections 4.3/4.4. We had IXLs all over that. 30 and 31 you're not responsible for. 32 was sections 4.3 and 4.4. You had an IXL for that, and most of y'all got 100 on. That means y'all better have shown y'all work for the 10 problems like you supposed to. Well, that's 20 points I get to take off this homework grade. Solved by square roots is section 4.5. Factoring is 4.3/4.4. Square roots is 4.5. Factoring is 4.3/4.4. And the rectangle problem requires you to know how to factor, which is 4.3/4.4, and it requires you to multiply a length and a width using FOIL. That's section 4.0. So that's that. Again, this will get posted to Google Classroom along with the video, which I'm about to upload to YouTube right now and post. On Friday, that's your day to just be working on your study guide. On Monday, that's your day to just be working on the study guide. After tomorrow, there are no more makeups of anything. The only thing you're worrying about is a study guide. So you still got 12 minutes in class. You don't pack up till 2:59. Get to work. Those of you who are taking the tests, you got 12 minutes.